Today we are covering designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure solutions. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, a company has an on-premises file server CBFL server that runs Windows Server 2019. Windows Admin Center manages this server. The company owns an Azure subscription. You need to provide an Azure solution to prevent data loss if the file server fails. Solution: you decide to register Windows Admin Center in Azure and then configure Azure Backup. Would this meet the requirement? Option A, yes. Option B, no. Correct answer is yes. Next question is, a company is planning on deploying an application onto Azure. The application will be based on the .NET Core programming language. The application would be hosted using Azure Web Apps. Below is part of the various requirements for the application. Give the ability to correlate Azure resources, uses, and the performance data with the actual application configuration and performance data. Give the ability to visualize the relationships between application components. Give the ability to track requests and exceptions to specific lines of code from within the application. Give the ability to actually analyze how users return to an application and see how often they only select a particular drop-down value. Which of the following service would be best suited for fulfilling the requirements of give the ability to correlate Azure resource uses and the performance data with the actual application configuration and the performance data? Option A, Azure Application Insights. Option B, Azure Service Map. Option C, Azure Log Analytics. Option D, Azure Activity Log. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, a company has an on-premises file server CBFL server that runs Windows Server 2019. Windows Admin Center manages this server. The company owns an Azure subscription. You need to provide an Azure solution to prevent data loss if the file server fails. Solution: you decide to create an Azure Recovery Services Vault. You then decide to install the Azure Backup agent and then schedule the backup. Would this meet the requirements? Option A, yes. Option B, no. Correct answer is option A, yes. Next question is, your company plans to deploy various Azure App Service instances that will use Azure SQL databases. The App Service instances will be deployed at the same time as the Azure SQL databases. The company has a regulatory requirement to deploy the App Service instances only to specific Azure regions. The resources for the App Service instances must reside in the same region. You need to recommend a solution to meet the regulatory requirement. Solution: you recommend using an Azure Policy Initiative to enforce the location. Does this meet the goal? Options are yes or no. Correct answer is yes. Next question is, you have an Azure Active Directory, Azure AD tenant that syncs with an on-premises Active Directory domain. You have an internal web app named Web App 1 that is hosted on premises. Web App 1 uses integrated Windows authentication. Some users work remotely and do not have VPN access to the on-premises network. You need to provide the remote users with single sign-on SSO access to Web App 1. Which two features should you include in the solution? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option A, Azure AD Application Proxy. Option B, Azure AD Privileged Identity Management PIM. Option C. Conditional Access Policies. Option D. Azure Arc. Option E. Azure AD Enterprise Applications. Option F. Azure Application Gateway. Correct answer is option A and option C. Next question is, your company deploys several virtual machines on premises and to Azure. Express route is being deployed and configured for on-premises to Azure connectivity. Several virtual machines exhibit network connectivity issues. You need to analyze the network traffic to identify whether packets are being allowed or denied to the virtual machines. Solution: use Azure Traffic Analytics in Azure Network Watcher to analyze the network traffic. Does this meet the goal? Option A, yes. Option B, no. Correct answer is no.